to the Dawgs podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
What's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dawgs podcast presented by Manly Bands. Josh All, your host today, coming in here to talk about training camp, really specifically a lot of stuff that happened yesterday with team reps, Shedeur Sanders sitting out, all that kind of stuff. Things got a little bit crazy in the morning, especially if you were online while all the news was coming out that, hey, Shedeur Sanders is not taking any reps today. What is going on? Blah, blah, blah. All that kind of stuff. We did get answers, so we're going to go through that. And I've got Jake Burns from Browns Film Breakdown joining me here in a little bit to discuss that, because Jake's been at training camp every day so far, taking notes, taking down clips, watching, evaluating, learning everything he can about this Browns team heading into the 2025 season. So we will talk about all that here in a second. Before we dive into all the content today, make sure you guys head over to jointhedawgs.com if you want to play fantasy football with us. Signups are still going on, but the cutoff is going to be in like a week or two at the most. Leagues are filling up. We've already got 8 leagues filled up, ready to go. Not everybody, if you're listening, not everybody's gotten their email or their invite yet. I'm still divvying everything up. We are progressing through it. We're getting there. If you still want to play fantasy football, though, there is still time. Get in now, though. Jointhedawgs.com. Sign up now. It's $5 a month to be in the Patreon. Support the show. It's a cup of coffee that you donate every month to the show. You don't even notice it's gone, but it helps us out tremendously, and it gets you access to the private Discord where there's 24/7 conversations going on about the Browns, or really anything in there. It's just a great group of Browns fans, good people in there, man. Some great friendships have really developed. So if you're looking for a community, an online community to join, to be a part of, that's very Browns-centric, jointhedawgs.com. All right, like I said in the intro, I've got Jake Burns from Browns Film Breakdown joining me today. We're going to talk about training camp. Jake's been up there. What? You've been up there every single day, right? Except for one. Is that correct?
Yeah, I tried to go every day. Monday I couldn't because we had a babysitter situation fall through. But yeah, man, I've been cruising the streets up I-71 from Columbus as often as I can. I got a buddy in Medina who's gracious enough to give me a room for the back-to-back day so that I don't have to drive back every day. But yeah, I'll go up Monday, tomorrow again, and do as much. I mean, I just want to be there as much as we can before they take the road. And I mean, they're gone essentially forever until we won't see them again.
Yeah, this is it. So what is it? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I think, or Monday, Tuesday?
They just have the 4th as the only one open. Obviously, They'll be there all week for their game prep. And I think the media will get to see some of that, not all of it, but some of it. But yeah, they're going to start being hard to other than the games, they're going to be being tricky to process.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you taking some time here real quick to sit down and talk to me about what you've seen at training camp. I know it's been a busy week for you. I'll get you out of here quick on a Sunday so you can enjoy your family for the day. But training camp, like, what have you seen up there? And I mean, we can talk about everything real quick, but specifically at the quarterback position, I know that's what everybody's pining to hear about. Yesterday, from all accounts, got a little weird, I think, during camp is kind of the vibe I got from social media and stuff with Shedeur not taking any team reps for the first time ever. And then it came out afterward that he had a sore shoulder, so they held him out of the team drills. And then I think Mary Kay reported yesterday afternoon that he actually reported the soreness himself during the individual drills.
That checks out. Yeah, that would check out. I mean, it's hard to know when you're up. I just don't prefer to be anywhere other than up high with a vantage point to see, gather information and watch everything unfold. It's so hard on the sideline. So I'm not really down there on the field in terms of like gathering that stuff. So yeah, that started to come out after, and it does make more sense that perhaps that he would say it after individual period, because it would be weird to report shoulder soreness and then go through the highest volume of throwing that you have in individual period. So yeah, I mean, that sort of checks out to me, but to backtrack it, yeah, it was strange throughout the morning. Well, let me preface it with this. The day before, there was a smaller number of reps for him anyway. Like I noticed there, the like sheer breakdown of the 3 guys as Kenny Pickett remained sidelined is like, it's probably 20% snaps for Shedeur. So you're talking about 45, 55, the other 2 guys, Flacco and Gabriel, kind of splitting those up. He didn't have a ton of reps the day before where they did a decent volume of 11 on 11 setting and then some Skelly stuff too. And then the next day you're watching, you're like, oh, he's not even throwing at all. So this is strange. He's not even getting in the groups at all. He's not, and there are plenty of second and third teams. Like, we are going to get to the point, Josh, where it's going to be, hey, this is knuckle down time. These are the guys we're going with, and we got to get everybody ready for, this third preseason game or this first game against the Bengals, whatever it is. And you start to dwindle out the third team. I call them AYOs, all you others. It's just the guys who are not destined to make the roster, probably not destined to make the practice squad scenario. So, like, that's going to happen. But as I'm sitting there yesterday, I'm like, this is too early. We're way too early in the process for this to happen. So you do think it's like, and I tried to cover this on my pod, like, there's two things that could happen. So something disciplinary, something happened. He's late to a meeting. He wasn't prepared in some way, and they, are sending a message to him. That's the first thing I could think of, because you kind of come off the first angle, which is like, hey, he's not getting reps because they're phasing him out and moving on. But they're down Kenny Pickett already. So that logically doesn't totally make a ton of sense, because I understand no team in the league is really getting 4 quarterbacks ready, but there's certainly some teams that give the third guy some reps. So, like, that would be pretty strange for him to just be done all of a sudden. So then you start thinking disciplinary, and then, you kind of just wait and see. You don't want to jump to conclusions on that stuff. That's just a dangerous game to play. So you learn about the arm soreness. And a lot of people will be like, it's pretty weird, man. That doesn't make sense because he's not getting as many reps as the other guys. And I'll just say, like, he's doing a lot of other stuff. Like, he does do this post-practice stuff. He does throw a lot. In individual period, he does take advantage and do as much as he can possibly for, if you really, and this is tricky because they break into like every practice, there's sessions that, the groups get together and go do. So, like, during special teams period, the quarterbacks will get together and go over and do some sort of, like, either mental or physical thing that they can do to continue to get those muscle memory based repetitions. And like, so there's not like a ton of downtime for quarterbacks, even though they're not getting physically abused at practice like some other guys. But, he did a lot of throwing ahead of camp. I'm put it this way. I think some people are looking at this with, like, squinted eyes and being like, that seems strange. Like, why could you have a shoulder soreness issue with the guy who's taking the least amount of reps? Fair, but the difference between on any given day of Shedeur and Dillon or Joe and even Kenny when he was healthy is like 5 or 6. That's not that big of a difference. So I do think there's some shoulder soreness. I'm sure there is. He did a lot of prep between rookies, rookies sort of a mini camp and then OTAs and true mini camp, right? Mandatory mini camp. So it's not like he hasn't been throwing. He's been throwing quite a bit. So I do think it's real. I do think it's not great for his scenario where he needs to be getting as much work. I'm trying to say this delicately because, like, I'm writing on this topic today. Like, he needs work. He needs to practice. He needs reps. He needs reps away from Colorado, like, that continue to push him in the envelope of offense that he's not comfortable with or he's not controlling. And, like, that's where this stuff is so important for him. And it's hard to see him take a full day. So yeah, shoulder soreness, any pitcher could come to the ballpark and have that issue. It can happen. And I think it did. I don't think he's bowing out of the competition or trying to stay away from opportunity. I think he's got some shoulder soreness. It's just the nature of what, like, the perception of where he's at versus the reality is pretty wide right now. And I don't think that helps. And especially when, like, because I had to tweet it, like, during the session, I'm like, he's not getting any reps and we don't know why. And it would make sense because if it was before practice, Josh, the coaches would have mentioned it. Like, hey, we're going to give Shedeur the day. He's got shoulder issues. They would have done that because they don't like the conjecture business happening in the middle of a session. So I do believe that the way it went down is the way it went down, which is him getting out of Indy and being like, hey, man, something's wrong here. I can't drive the football. So we'll see. They got a day off. That helps. But if you're in the world of belief that Shedeur should be the guy and he should be starting at some point this year, it's not in the best place right now. That's the way I would say it.
This episode is sponsored by Manly Bands. Browns fans, it is time to upgrade your ring game. Head over to manlybands.com/dogs and check out everything Manly Bands has to offer, some of the coolest bands materials that you're going to find. I love going through and looking at everything in their Jack Daniel's whiskey barrel collection. I mean, you can get a wedding ring made from a Jack Daniel's whiskey barrel. That's awesome. They've got the Lord of the Rings collection. They've got DC Comics, and they've also got the other materials too. Gold, white gold, that kind of stuff. They've got meteorite. They've got dinosaur bone. They've got all kinds of stuff. And they have a ton of other gifts as well. They've got barware. They've got chains. They've got wristwatch. They've got all kinds of stuff. Anything you need if you're looking for manly rings and manly things, head to manlybands.com/dogs and make sure to use promo code CAMP25, CAMP25 to get an extra $25 off your order. That's manlybands.com/dogs, promo code CAMP25.
Since 1989, Mount Hope Fence has set the standard in outdoor living. From decks and railings to fences and patios, we've got you covered. Our lineup features top brands like TimberTech, AlumaGuard, Preferred Railing, and Unilock, along with our own premium Duralux vinyl products. For over 30 years, we've partnered with contractors ensuring reliable job site delivery. Discover quality and excellence in all things outdoors with Mount Hope Fence.
No, and to kind of go to what you just mentioned about the perception of Shedeur in this quarterback competition and the reality. I mean, I've been saying this a lot on the podcast, been posting about it. And Mary Kay, even in that article I read, said, it's not ideal for a guy to, miss a day, like you just said, when you're in the middle of a four-way battle for the starting position. And I said, it's not a four-way battle for the starting position. Shedeur's not in that battle, in my opinion, because he's the only guy who's taken 0 first-team reps with the first-team offense. Like, it is the other three guys that they were evaluating for the starting spot, I believe, and then it's Shedeur, because otherwise they would be mixing him in more evenly with the other guys. I think they're putting a heavy emphasis on Dillon Gabriel, and I want to talk about him because you've been up there, you've been watching. From all the video clips that I've seen throughout the week, from the reports from the sidelines and stuff, it just sounds like he's not progressing maybe at the rate they were hoping.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that. To close out Shedeur, to your point, which was well articulated, I think if Shedeur was Nick Mullins right now, I think he's cut. I would think he's cut. That's the nature of where I think the reps have been placed for him. So, just want to be clear that if they keep him and continue to try to develop him, it's because they have some long-term vision. So, the nature of what we've seen this camp, to your point, which is fair, he's not getting first-team reps. He did meander into some first-team defense snaps, but that was really like a potpourri group. Like, the defense will sub in 3 groups. They'll have a D-line group that rotates. They'll do D-line linebackers and DBs, and sometimes the first D-line is out there with the second linebacker group and the third. So there's it's mix and match.
So it's not true first-team defense.
I don't even know that they go about it that way, if that makes sense. Yeah. Just like they did yesterday, get very serious. A lot of organizations do like a Friday Night Lights or a bigger sort of dressed up scrimmage, and the Browns didn't. But I thought yesterday the volume of team reps was indicative of what they were trying to do, which was like, hey, this is the day before a break, the day before our game week prep hits here. Let's really get after it today. I'm expecting Monday to be rather light. I don't think they're going to go crazy the way they did on Saturday there. But yeah, I mean, Dillon is in the thick of it, man. Now, again, not many with fair perspective here, 3rd-round picks come in, get first-team reps early, and start. That volume of that outcome is pretty low. So we're judging Dillon on can he come in and start right away? Which I do understand why some people are like, he's very maxed out. He's older. He's got a ton of college reps. And if he was going to step in and not dominate, but be competent, it should be quick.
Right. If it was going to be clear, it would be clear.
Right. I would say I'm a little disappointed in that regard. Now, there have been good moments. There have been some nice, downfield throws here and there. I think the things that have caught me a little off guard is the pinpoint accuracy has not been where I thought it would be. Too many misses, too many miscommunications, too many I thought he was going to be there, he was here type of reactions from him. And then And, like I knew the height would be a problem. It's something he's going to have to continue to navigate. Now, I say this a lot, like there's tall guys at Ohio State that he has to throw against. There's his O-line at Oregon, big guys. Like this is not like he's stepping on an NFL field being like, oh my God, these guys are giants. He played in the Big Ten. There's a lot of big dudes in the Big Ten, and he played in the SEC and et cetera, et cetera. So like he's seen big boy football. But when you get in the NFL, everything's condensed. It's just tighter. The hash marks are tighter, which makes the field that you normally have a short side of the field, it makes it farther away, right? Like the spacing is a huge adjustment. So there have been good moments for him. There have been things leading up to the last 2 days, because Friday, Saturday, as I tried to articulate in a tweet, and I know kind of a little bit of what you're alluding to there too, is like they were rough. They were really rough as far as like documentation of reps that's out there. Not all of those are on him. You can tell sometimes there's a drop that happens on a 50-50 ball, or somebody that hits somebody's hands. But for the most part, I was like, he's a little overwhelmed today. Like, where's that going? Why are we throwing there? Type of stuff happening. And the biggest adjustment for him as a shorter guy is going to be not throwing through windows, Josh, because like that is something he's been doing his whole life. You can't get to Oregon, Oklahoma, even UCF without developing an uncanny ability to find passing windows. But you have to throw anticipatorily almost at times. And Drew Brees and the shorter guys, I'm sure Russell Wilson, when he goes deeper in his career, maybe, I don't know, Russell's a little weirder dude, but Drew Brees opened up about like, hey man, you're throwing at times into blind spots. Like you have to know based on pre to post, like what is going on in that region of the field. Because if you're throwing with anticipation and you're throwing when a window in front of you is open and then closes, it's hard. It's very hard to do. And I think that's somewhere I expected him to struggle, and that has come up. The thing I'm a little worried about is the accuracy stuff. Like when you have an answer and when you find it, he has not been consistently delivering with accuracy. So we'll see, man. He's got 3 preseason games where you actually put the pads on. And I tried to articulate this too. These settings are favorable for the defense because a lot of these settings that aren't live, like I'm talking like real live run game. When you don't have that, the defense can really play pass or run and react late to run and still be fine. Thud him up. I can kind of put myself in a position where I could tap him on the butt and I coach, I was there to make the tackle, et cetera, et cetera. Like this is a setting when it's not scripted against specific defenses. Now, when you get into the season and you're doing like first team O against the scout team, come on. I mean, like this is typically set up in a very specific structure to help your offense, A, find confidence, B, know what the defense is doing, et cetera, et cetera. So these sessions are typically tilted toward defense. And some of those reps that Gabriel gets is the 2, or sometimes, when Shedeur was out, he even, gets those 3 reps. They are going against the first team defense. So like how that rotates through when it's not sort of rigid structure is like, hey, the first team defense will be out there against the second team offense or third team offense at times. The first team offense will be out there against the second and third defense, or pieces of which, right? So this is where like the stuff about the quarterback stat tracking stuff, which is very popular from ESPN, is wildest. Like it's just wildly misleading because you look at that and you're looking at what Shedeur has done and you're looking at what Dillon has done and you're like, all right, this is a pretty obvious answer and they're holding him back. Well, when you peel back that Shedeur is basically efforting some second team, mostly third team reps, he never sees the best defense the Browns have to offer. That should be what he's doing, right? Like that should be what he's doing. Now, that's not to say he's doing what he should do where he's at, but the level of which the difficulty mentally and physically is in place versus a first team or portions of the first team offense, and sometimes going up against them with the second team offense, that's not the same. It's not 1-on-1. So like, I think that's where leading the discourse around Shedeur has gotten a little dicey. So Dillon has had moments. I need to see him with a real uniform on, what it feels like in an NFL stadium for him, and then kind of go from there. But if you were of the belief like, hey, one of these rookies are going to step in and seize the job, maybe you were like, this could be a Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson type thing. That's not happening right now. So Joe Flacco has moments of I wouldn't call it rough, just moments of like, oh, he missed it, but he does enough things well still that he should be their starter. It's just abundantly obvious. So I think there's still a world where you can, I've talked about this, the examples of success of these late round quarterbacks is so minimal, but when you do look at some guys like Brock Purdy got an opportunity late in the first year and really seized it. So he could click somewhat on the sideline, watching NFL games, play calls, hearing it, watching it, processing it. I think that, again, like the world where you're having this fantasy where it's like, oh, Dillon or Shedeur will be ready. That's not a reality right now. So that's where we're at. Yeah.
And with you're right. There's so much more context that needs added with the stat trackers and everything like that. And I think obviously you put them out there, people are going to look at it, and some people are going to compare, this guy to that guy. But I think the more important thing, if you're going to actually use the stats, which they're not useless, do it individually, do it line by line, and just look at each player specifically to that player. So, for example, Dillon Gabriel, just look at him. He's going against, like you said, a lot of the first team defense, some second team reps, but he's getting those first team reps as well. And he's not doing great. That's the thing. Like, if you just look at his instance specifically, and it is worrisome that they're trying to get this guy ready to start, and he cannot hold up against our first team defense. Well, if they put him out there in a game, he's going to be going against the other team's first team, the first stringers. So this episode is sponsored by Omaha Stakes. Browns fans, football season is almost here, and that means tailgates and grilling out before games. I love everything from Omaha Steaks. I think my personal favorite is probably the bacon wrap filet mignons. Those things are incredible. And right now, during their anniversary sale, you guys can get 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $35 off with promo code BARK at checkout. You guys know my freezer is always stocked up with Omaha Steaks food. I've got burgers and steaks and brats, and I got pork chops and stuff in there. Best food to have on hand, because Omaha Steaks offers unrivaled quality and variety, and every bite is backed by their 100% guarantee. You just can't get beef like this anywhere else in the world. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their anniversary sale, and for an extra $35 off, use promo code BARK at checkout. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $35 off with promo code BARK at checkout. See site for details. When the preseason gets here, which the first game is Friday night, what do you think? Before I get you out here, your opinion on preseason, your expectations. I'm anticipating a lot of Dillon Gabriel. I think a lot of people think there's going to be more of an even split between Dillon and Shedeur. Shedeur's going to get his chance to shine and all this stuff. I think they're going to give Dillon as many reps in the preseason as possible. But what do you think?
I mean, they should. I firmly believe Flacco could use a series or two in some of these. Maybe they'll give him the first one off, and then the second game and the third game, they'll run him out there a series or two. But yeah, these should be dominated. The Pickett thing is cloudy. I don't
even really talked about him. Yeah.
I just don't really. I just don't think that's a viable option. But we'll see how they handle it. But I do think that this should be predominantly rookie driven. And if you've given Dillon enough reps with your first team offense, which he has had, I would say of all first team reps through camp, maybe 30% have gone to him, maybe a hair under that. So it's not been overwhelming, but it's certainly enough that you should get him out early. If you think he's good enough to play with your first team in practice settings, then you should get him out there late first quarter, early second quarter. Shouldn't be just mop up late third, fourth quarter stuff. Whereas Shedeur is probably in that second half, take over maybe a series after Dillon is done sort of thing. And that's what I'm expecting. So if we're going into this week, maybe Kenny's fully back after today, and then it starts to get even kind of tougher to evaluate. But if the case is like these three guys are going to be the guys going on, what is it? They play Friday or Thursday? Friday? I'm not sure.
Yep.
Friday. Then yeah, there's definitely going to be a healthy amount of Dillon, and it depends on, also depends on Shedeur's shoulder, if that is just a blip on the radar here or something to a larger degree. So yeah, man, I that's the thought. I think Dillon, if he's practicing early with your guys, then yeah, man, he should be getting meaningful reps out there with some of those guys in a preseason game. And I expect them expect them to do that. I think that would make the most logical sense. And like the thing with the tracker stuff is like most fans can't view it through the lens that you just referenced, right? Which is like setting Dillon against Joe, right? Or like they clearly have different intentions with these quarterbacks right now. It's just not the same. But the people who are weaponizing Shedeur stats as a means to compare to Dillon, and that's not what's going on. Like Shedeur's kind of living in his own world out there at practice, and that's completely segmented. Because if you put Dillon into the exact same reps, outcome would be the same, probably better. It just would. So there's some, there's nuance. It's hard. And what I think the only thing I prefer about it is that it just tells me how many reps a guy's had. Like it tells me,
well, that's true too.
Because you're probably adding 10% because sometimes you drop back and you're not actually throwing, or somebody, you take a sack or they blow it dead or you scramble out. So yeah, I like seeing the volume of how many team setup stuff they've had, right? Like I would, me, man, and this is something the Browns would do internally because they have practice film access, and the manpower of all of that is really tricky. And I'm not even sure ESPN Cleveland cares to dig into the nuances, but you should have like, hey, here's how he's done in Skelly, where it's significantly slanted for the offense. Here's how he's done in team. Here's how he's done in, periods where they're down in the low red zone versus periods where they're coming out of their own like 15-yard line sort of. There's just a lot. There's a lot there. So yeah, I think it's a very small part of the evaluation. Cause what I've said, Josh, is like, we know if I'm there every day from a sort of like what's open to the public side, I probably know 25% of what's going on. Right. Because that's just viewing reps, every rep, not highlights from social, but like every rep. Then there's people who don't go, they probably know like 5 to 10%. And then there's like a healthy recognition of like, hey, there's 75% of things we don't know. How do they do in the classroom? How do they do when they're up on the whiteboard? Hey, draw up this play for me so I know our plays. What's the check when we get cover 3? What's your process against split coverage? And this, like, that's the stuff we don't know. And if we're in this world of like trying to define that Shedeur is being, screwed out of this thing, it's like, how do you know? You people speak so confidently about something, and then they'll be like, bro, I've seen the videos and I've seen the track. It's like, there's an insane amount of nuance that you just don't understand there. And it's leading to there's an army behind him. Yeah. And like, it gets dicey.
I will say, okay, I'm sorry. I am going to get you out of here, but that brings up another thought though. I hear what you're saying 100% and I agree. I also can't blame anybody who says logically, I don't necessarily trust this coaching staff to develop a quarterback or to evaluate the quarterback position. They've made some really oddball decisions at this position over the last several years. And I don't blame anybody for questioning, do these guys actually know what they're doing? How do you feel about that?
I mean, there's nothing about that that's incorrect in terms of just, if you want to be a pessimist, you want to believe like the worst of this. I think Browns fans should be wired that way, right? Like, I don't think that's unfair at all. The thing that I would say is that they're desperate. They're very desperate. Like the entire organization is desperate. And if you really think they're going back to the coaches' offices and all getting around the table after sessions and being like, guys, Shedeur is unbelievable, but I really think we should try to prove that Dillon is better than him because we drafted him 2 rounds before. That's child's play, man. They are desperate for an answer. So if Shedeur was giving them every bit of what they need to solve this, the mental side, and there's so much more than just dropping back, stepping up, holding on to it a little longer and throwing a ball late in the back of the end. You've got to know how to take the play from your head in the microphone and disseminate it in the huddle. You got to get to the line of scrimmage and understand what your checks are in protection. What are my checks in coverage pre-snap that I'm going to decide which am I going left side or am I going right side? There are an immense amount of just those pre-snap things. What's my X running? What's Z running? What's Y running? What's F running? Do I know all of that like the back of my hand? Do I know what the checks are? Who's my hot? If they bring 2 off the right, who's my hot? Like, the amount of stuff a quarterback has to know versus what you think you know from a stat tracker. And I'm not knocking that in a sense of like saying it's like the worst thing in the world, but like that versus a clip you see in practice from someone on the internet and a stat tracker telling you something versus what is going on. You can do the Browns being the Browns thing all you want, but these guys need a quarterback answer. And if they have one internally that they're looking at, and I know that people will not trust it. I get that. Like, you cannot trust it. But if you're watching somebody consistently every day dice up defenses that are doing NFL level stuff, and you're then saying, can't do it, man, really don't believe that we should, break off Dillon and Kenny Pickett because we traded for him. And like that's some second shooter on the grassy knoll stuff. Like, it's not a realistic world. Like, if you want to be like, they're not giving him reps and they are handling how to bring him along incorrectly, that could be a fair discussion. But to pretend like this guy is ready now and they're screwing it up is just silly. They need an answer. The one thing that would be a blessing beyond belief, and I know you know this, but I just want to say it again, is if one of those two are the answer, because it helps you work through the lack of first-round picks for 3 years solution next year, which is having two of them to go after premium positions like another wide receiver or tackle or something of the sort. Like, they would there would be nothing better in the world than to have one of these two young guys prove worthy. So just like thinking the Browns are trying to screw Shedeur Sanders over when they're the team that actually took him and they're the most desperate team at the position it's just a world I won't live in. Like, it's not a realistic thing.
Yep. No, that's fair. And I think that's very well said. So Jake, I appreciate you jumping in here talking about not everything, but everything quarterback related that you've seen here at camp and all that. I know we could talk for hours about stuff going on with the Browns, but thanks again. And then make sure you guys go check out Jake's work over at brownsfilmbreakdown.com. Check out his podcast, go to the website, join. You want anything else I'm missing here? Anything else you want to highlight?
Man, that's perfectly fit. The website is where we're hosting everything. So yeah, there's a lot of crossover here, Josh. We'll continue to get together, man. But yeah, it's a interesting time. There's 3 very fascinating preseason games coming.
Yeah, and it's going to come quick and it's going to go quick. So stay tuned and I guess just try to enjoy as much as possible, right?
That's right, man. So it'll the real stuff will be here, and it's a tough start. So yeah, let's just pump the brakes and enjoy the moment, as they say.
Yep. All right. Well, make sure you guys follow Jake because he's going to be up at camp again tomorrow, and bringing all the information that he sees up there. So that's good stuff. Thanks a lot, Jake. I appreciate you.
My pleasure, man.
So thanks again, Jake Burns, for joining me today, talking everything through this quarterback situation, guys. We're never lacking for drama as Cleveland Browns fans. Really, come on, you know that's true. Every year it feels like there's just always something. Especially when you don't have an answer at the quarterback position and you're trying to shimmy your way through late round picks and maybe this guy can be it. Well, I saw a post and I think it was Jordan Zerm on X, and it was great. I really wanted to quote it, and he said, Andrew Berry has found his Cody Kessler in Dillon Gabriel. And I thought that is probably the most accurate way to look at this. Now, could Dillon continue to develop and show out through these preseason games and really step up his game? Absolutely, yes. The most likely outcome is that he is the Cody Kessler for this regime. The just trust me on this one kind of guy that just is average on his best day. Now, again, I know a lot of the stuff I've been doing lately seems like I'm bashing on Dillon, but I'm not trying to. He's doing pretty much exactly what pre-draft NFL analysts expected him to do. He was not a highly touted quarterback in this class. He was kind of lumped in after the top 5 or 6 guys that people wanted to talk about. And even the top 5 or 6 guys, only 2 of them were ever really, or I guess 3 were ever discussed really as legitimate first-round picks. It was Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and maybe Jackson Dart. That was pretty much how the pre-draft season went, if you recall. Dillon Gabriel was not even in the mix with any of the top guys after that. The Shucks, the Milrose, these guys. So the expectations obviously weren't there, and I do feel like the Browns are trying to get him ready, and it just does not feel like the response has been there. Obviously, he's got the processing, and I think in the classroom on the whiteboard, kind of the stuff Jake talked about as well, I think Dillon probably does shine there. I think he's a very smart kid. I think he understands football. I think he knows the game very well. I think they're impressed with how much he knows the game. But knowing the game in the classroom has to also then translate to knowing the game and being able to execute on the field. And that's the hang up so far through camp with Dillon Gabriel. So we'll see how things go. Hopefully Shedeur, his shoulder's okay and he can get back to taking his, allotted reps tomorrow. We will keep you guys posted on it all. So make sure you follow us on all the socials. We are at the Dawgs Podcast everywhere. So follow us. We'll keep you up to date. It's, much quicker to do a Twitter post to update you guys on what's going on than it is to drop a new episode of the show. So we will be back. I believe we're going to actually do a live show, or at least that's the plan. We're going to do a live show on Tuesday night, and we'll be on YouTube, X, and Facebook. So jump in the chat, talk with us. We'll be talking about training camp. We'll be previewing the upcoming preseason game against the Panthers, all that kind of good stuff. JoinTheDawgs.com if you want to play fantasy football. This is like one of the final calls for fantasy football. If you've been thinking about it, or you've been saying, hey, yeah, I'm going to do that, I just haven't gotten to it yet, don't do that anymore. Now's the time to get to it, because we are going to close the signups here in about a week or two. We've got leagues filled up. We're getting close to a point where we're going to have to pull a cutoff. So get in now before it's too late. JoinTheDawgs.com. Thanks again to Jake Burns, BrownsFilmBreakdown.com. Head over there. Check out all his work. I mean, the dude does some phenomenal work. His pod is great. His content is great. Sign up over there. Follow him. All that kind of good stuff. And everybody tuning into this show and following us on YouTube and the socials, we appreciate you guys more than you know. You make the show possible. You really do. And we do it for you guys, for Browns fans, and we love it. So until I see you guys in the next one on Tuesday night for a live show, finally, it's been a while since we've done one from the studio, so we're excited for that. We'll talk to you guys then. Go Brownies.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dawgs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedawgspodcast.com.
This episode is sponsored by ISSA. Browns fans, if you're into health and fitness, have you ever wondered how you could maybe turn those hobbies and your passion into an actual career? If that sounds interesting to you, then ISSA has the opportunity you've been looking for. ISSA is the International Sports Science Association, and they can help you become a certified personal trainer in as little as 3 months. And right now you can get $100 off your certification when you sign up through our link, joinissa.com/dogs, DAWGS. Now, certifications are 100% online, self-study, and self-paced. You can study anywhere from your phone, tablet, or computer. And the final exam is open note, open book, aka piece of cake. Except you fitness nuts probably don't eat a ton of cake, so let's just call it a piece of delicious protein bar. And ISSA has the #1 job guarantee in the industry. If you get certified and sign up to be a certified trainer with ISSA, you have a job guarantee or your money back. ISSA has over 10,000 gym partners that have over 73,000 open jobs for trainers right now. And you don't need a 4-year degree or a 2-year degree. You just need your certification to qualify for these jobs. So what are you waiting for? With certification this simple, there's no excuse not to pursue your passion and become a certified personal trainer today. Get $100 off your certification at joinissa.com/dogs. You've wanted to make a change long enough. Now it's time to do something about it. That's joinissa.com/dogs for $100 off your personal trainer certification.